Hi, I am Ashish Mittal, a technology consultant, and I have my guest today, Dr. Sarika Raj and Dr. Vivek Raj, and we are planning to talk about the latest trends which are happening in the health domain and the technology which is kind of supporting the health domain right now, and the way entrepreneurs and startups have started thinking around digitizing the field. So, welcome, Dr. Sarika. Welcome, Dr. Vivek.
Thank you.
Hi,
Welcome.
good
Good
morning.
morning.
Thank you for being available for this discussion today. So
Mhm.
before I jump on to start discussing the final details about technology and the health domain as such, I request if you may please introduce yourself and your journey in medical practitioner as a medical practitioner so far in a little more detail.
So, Ashish, I am a pediatrician by profession. I trained here in Rohtak Medical College. And after internship, I moved to UK and USA for my further training. I practiced there for about 12 years before I moved back to India in 2007. In 2007, I joined Artemis Hospital. The Artemis had just started at that time. I worked there for about 7 years till 2014. And since 2014, I have been on my practice. I've been doing private practice on Sona Road and admitting patients, if needed, to Fortis Memorial Hospital. So that is myself. And Vivek, my
Yeah.
husband, he's gonna.
Yeah. So I'm Vivek Raj. Currently, I'm Senior Director Gastroenterology and Hepatology at Max Super Speciality Hospital, Saket, and Max Smart Hospital and Max Hospital, Gurgaon. So I graduated from Maulana Azad Medical College. After MBBS and MD, went to UK, spent 4 years there at University of Wales, got my MRCP, did some training. Then advanced gastroenterology training I did from Boston University, and then some more advanced training from Beth Israel Hospital in Harvard Medical School. After that, I was associate professor and director of gastroenterology at University of Arkansas for Medical Sciences in Little Rock, and fellowship program director. So mostly involved in teaching, research, and clinical care. And then the home bug was biting, so I came back in 2006, 2007. Started off with Max Hospital when it was just starting, and we have built up a very nice department now. So we do all tertiary and quaternary level care, mostly advanced ERCPs, endoscopic ultrasounds, liver transplants, that sort of thing. So I work almost entirely out of the hospital setup. And lately, because of the COVID and other things, the telemedicine issue caught up. So we were also interested in exploring that possibilities.
Okay, that sounds great. So, Dr. Vivek, I would like to know, what sort of difference do you generally observe of your experience while you were practicing in US or UK, and now when you are practicing in India? So, what sort of difference do you find in terms of the awareness among people about health and about the facilities which are available in the two countries? So, uh, what sort of difference do you find?
Right. So I think number one, I think each of the three countries, that is USA, UK, and India, have completely different domains, different styles. The overall difference that I found going from India to UK and USA was that as far as training is concerned, it was a lot more structured and advanced and more keeping up with the latest literature, and much more organized. In terms of practice, I think the main difference was in USA, things were very organized, they were very structured, and your efficiency was significantly higher as a result. The support systems were all there, whether it is nursing or it is medical support system. The respect for doctors from administration as well as from patients was actually higher and a lot more professional. Uh, and so coming back from USA to India, that was one of the first things that we realized, that I think here it was very unstructured. The management in corporate hospitals or even the private patients who otherwise were coming didn't seem to honor your time, or they have respect for your time and practice. There was a lot more personal touch though, so patients were more involved with wanting to know and wanting to be in touch with you more easily. There was ready access is what they wanted, which is something that wasn't there in USA. So if you wanted to see me as a gastroenterologist in USA, the waiting time was 2 months in the OPD, or sometimes even if it was urgent, yes, people would wait for 10 days or 3 days or whatever it might be, and otherwise come to emergency. While here, everybody expected a ready access immediately at all times, including Sundays. So that took a little bit of adjusting. However, in general, then patients also find the doctor that they're comfortable with, and the doctor finds the patient that they're comfortable with eventually. So we now have
It's
a
a
fairly good,
random
it's a
connection
random
between
connection.
patient and doctor
But
in
in general,
US.
basic thing, the basic interaction between doctor and patient is a human interaction. And as long as you can get them better, feel better, talk to them nicely, be concerned about them, that connection builds up. So then the mutual respect comes in, the time respect comes in. So I think there's eventually we are all human beings. So the
See,
diseases are the same.
the biggest thing, Ashish, is that the medicine is the same.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, what I was treating in US in practice is exactly how I'm treating patients here, and
Mhm.
my thought processes are different because I'm trained differently, and as a result, I've collected a huge following of patients because the human component is there and the medical component is similar. The patients, if you just transfer the medicines, you use the same principles that I was using in US and applied it to Indian patients, and the medicines work, and it's a new novel style of thinking. So patients are very impressed because that novel style of thinking is not usually practiced by average pediatrician in India. So that is one of the keys to my success in practice.
Okay.
So the human component is the same, the medicine is the same. वहाँ फीवर आता है तो हम वैसे ही सोचते थे उस अंग्रेज के बच्चे को भी ट्रीट करने का, और यहाँ पे इस लेबरर के बच्चे को भी मैं वैसे ही सोचती हूँ ट्रीट करने का. तो
बिल्कुल.
ह्यूमन कंपोनेंट दोनों में सेम है और वही चीजें काम करती हैं दोनों में,
Mhm.
बस outside structure is different. The
Right.
reason I moved out of corporate world was because the nurses that we trained when we initially joined, they all left, दुबई चली गई. अब हमारे पास support system नहीं है, so I cannot become efficient as a doctor. So
Mhm.
if I have to work alone, there is no point of my working in a hospital. I might as well work in a clinic and provide the service that I have been providing.
Agreed. Yes.
That is the difference.
हाँ. सो जैसे कि ये तो एक नो डाउट एक एक चैलेंज हम लोग इंडिया के अंदर फेस कर रहे हैं, जैसा कि आपने बताया. लेकिन अब जो लेटेस्ट ट्रेंड है मार्केट के अंदर, जिसके अंदर पीपल, यंग माइंड्स एंड एंटरप्रेन्योर्स, स्टार्टअप्स, दे हैव स्टार्टेड थिंकिंग little loud about the domain, and that they are thinking as to how can they deploy technology in the field and can improve the availability of facilities. So there have been a lot of growth in online applications for arranging lab tests, or applications for booking an appointment. So though, like, that's a different kind of improvement which is happening in the ecosystem than the kind of challenges which you just now mentioned. But do you think that introduction of such a thing by private entrepreneurs and startups will improve the system to some extent? May that be in a different horizon, but then yes, there will be certain improvement with that.
Right. So I think technology has been a part of medicine, ever since its evolution, starting from drug development to drug discovery to discoveries of simple things like ultrasounds and CT scans and MRIs or endoscopies. So technology is an absolutely essential part. As physicians, we are the users of technology, and I think the creators of technology and users of technology have to work in tandem. So I think it's a very welcome thing that the interest has suddenly caught up in technology in India, especially for people who are technology savvy like yourself or otherwise, to work with doctors, because it's a society. It's like four wheels of a car. We got to have all the wheels to get things moving. So I think that way it's a good thing. We have used technology for a long time, from every aspect, from radiology to endoscopies to robotic surgeries to everything else. Now the application of patient care management, the electronic medical record systems, the need for keeping those medical legal aspects, that is all that's catching up now. And so is teleconsult. Now teleconsult so far was not practical because there was no legal protection for it. And in fact, till even 2 years ago, 1 year ago, we were mostly doing telephonic consult, and there were issues where people had bad outcomes from a telephonic consult, and the High Court came strongly against telephonic advice. So I think the formalization of that process and a legal sort of benchmarks to be set up or new rules to be set up for telemedicine will definitely help both the doctors and the patients, because
Mhm.
access is a major issue. So I think definitely it will
Indeed.
help.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's in very early stages, Ashish, right now. The technology is coming in practice also. I have a lot of people coming in saying, ma'am, we can do this for you and we can do that for you. And as a physician, one of my biggest hesitation in getting involved in these platforms has been the privacy of patient data. As a physician, I value the doctor-patient relationship is supposed to be private. So a lot of these technology, if you get involved with the technology, I was struggling with the fact. So finally, I have on my own, in real ideal sense, it would be great if we have a platform that we can keep secure, where we can keep patient information secure. But something like this hasn't developed yet in India. In US, they have something called a HIPAA ruling, and all the electronic medical record have to undergo that as a privacy checkup before they can be instituted in the practices there. So there's a lot more role of the government and the law that is helping out. In India, one of the struggles I've had is there's nothing that protects me from a lot of these people are in very early stages of making up the medical data and patient data, and how they can transform the patient care services at a patient level. And the first thing that has really come up is this telemedicine component.
And I
So there is a lot to be done in India in terms of medicine and technology.
So I think
Mhm.
the second thing is that medicine is a very touch and feel line. So you can get as much technology, as much information over the phone and over the video conference, but just putting your hand on the tummy or listening to somebody's lungs can give you a lot more information
Yes.
at times. And the communication also, face-to-face communication, definitely gives you a lot more information than just a telephonic communication, for example. So the video component of this has added to that. So it will never be able to compete or replace a physical evaluation. What it can do is as an adjunct. So I have seen a patient today, I want to follow the labs, and I know the patient, so then we can easily follow that up on teleconsult. He doesn't have to drive from Noida to here or Patna to here to be able to discuss just the lab reports. So it has to be learning experience both from the patient's and doctor's point of view. Because sometimes patients call me for telemedicine wanting me to sort out, I'm having abdominal pain, I'm not feeling well, I'm vomiting, I'm doing this, that. And at one point I have to say, listen, this cannot be sorted out on telemedicine. I don't feel comfortable giving you an advice that may be adverse. You need to be evaluated. So I think that's a learning experience we'll all
So
will have.
telemedicine has its limitations, but it also has a huge amount
Huge.
of advantage. Yeah.
Mhm.
I think in
Okay.
India it will work well also because there are many remote areas where they can't get specialist opinions. There may be a general medicine practitioner who himself needs help with the patient management. So he can be the hands who can examine the abdomen or chest, and then if he needs a special opinion for a pulmonologist or somebody else, he can then do a telemedicine consult. So you can reach much larger sections of the society, whether in a village level or at a distant site, with the help of telemedicine to sort out many problems. Not everything can be sorted out, but many things can be definitely eased.
Okay. And Dr. Sarika, so like as I'm aware of your endeavoring to start an online platform for telemedicine.
Yes.
So, what had been your thought about it? Like, was it your experience of working with some other hospitals in past when you were working abroad, or like it is your own
Ashish,
thought that you should have telemedicine now being available in India, and then start giving this facility to your patients. So, what exactly was your thought of doing it, and what I would request if you may please talk a little more about the kind of platform you have developed for arranging telemedicine and such a facility for your patients.
So one of the reasons for developing my own platform was to take control of the data, patient data, and keep privacy. And there are a lot of telemedicine platforms being offered by different companies, and I didn't want to enroll with any one of them. Was again because I wasn't sure how the privacy issue was going to work. So that was one of the main reasons I said I'm just gonna have my own where I can control where the information is going. Telemedicine is easy to practice if you have a group of patients, you have your own patients who you have been seeing for last 10 years, and you know the patient in and out
Mm-hmm.
in terms of what works, what doesn't work. You understand the patient's parents. And in a scenario like this, when corona thing happened and the lockdown thing happened, the parents had concerns or any questions, they could just log on to the video consultation, and we could sort out. I realized we could sort out a lot of problems, especially for the older patients, because I understood how we were treating them. There were a lot of follow-up calls, but vaccinations couldn't happen. But besides vaccination, when they come in for vaccination visits, we do a lot of growth, development monitoring, a lot of feeding consult, a lot of nutritional guidance, a lot of other guidance that could just be done on the telehealth.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to be physically present to see the patient. So, thirdly, in cases of emergency, American Academy of Pediatrics has actually created telemedicine health guidelines in which we can triage patients based on their symptoms. And this kind of training I have received in USA. And we actually had two nurses who would sit through the weekend and do the triaging of patients, that this patient can wait and see me tomorrow morning or 2 days from now, or and this patient looks like is really emergent and needs to go and to an emergency room right now. So this kind of triaging, we had training about it. I have a full book. It's about this big book with each protocol written clearly by the American Academy of Pediatrics. So having gone through that, I felt more comfortable going on to the telemedicine platform. And I do intend to use it a lot more. So when I'm physically not present and the mother is sitting in the office, half of the time our struggle was for the mother to leave the office, get the kid and get the child to the clinic. Now, if I can connect with her on telemedicine, and the grandmother can show the baby, and if there is something that can be sorted on the medicine, it will become a lot simpler for my patients to be able to take that right guidance from me, medical guidance from me. So I think there are a lot of advantages which we couldn't do this till the epidemic act came across and government allowed us to do the telemedicine. Before this, telemedicine was not legal in India. It just became legal. So
Okay.
I see a lot of advantage in this, and that's why I decided to go ahead with the platform.
Okay. And this could definitely be a sort of new stepping stone in the health industry, I would say. And probably even after the COVID is over, and when the people will start learning to live comfortably in new normal world, I believe that telemedicine is something which is going to stay and would keep improving with the time. That's what I think.
Yes,
Like, this is how the world will go in terms of telemedicine.
it's also going to be really beneficial for old people who
Hmm.
can't move out of the
Yes.
house. And the face-to-face interaction with the doctor can happen.
Hmm.
So it's definitely for pediatric patients, for old people, the initial consult can happen for sick visits can happen online, and the patient can come for short periods or in a planned way and get examined. I'm doing my well baby visits right now by bringing the patients to the clinic, doing their physical component, giving them vaccination, sending them back home. And based on the data that I have collected in the clinic, I'm consulting the parent on the phone, on video call, and then we are going through all the details of the growth and the development and what nutrition. Now the baby can chew, so what foods baby can eat. All those kind of parts are just covered by telemedicine at this time.
Okay.
So it's a
So,
joint, yes.
sorry, say that
And
again.
we will continue this, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, one last question before we conclude this discussion. So, what is so this question is for you, Dr. Vivek, first. what is that one-liner statement which you would like to give as a suggestion to the new entrepreneurs who are coming in the industry of health domain?
So, firstly, anybody who's coming in new and wants to start in this field, work closely with doctors, because eventually they are the end users. And very importantly, keep on the right side of the law, whatever the legal side is, because the biggest scare that doctors have in the present day using telemedicine, where you are not physically doing things, is how much can the law protect you. And the law will have to evolve. Some of the guidelines have now come in, but those are only
Mhm.
guidelines, ordinances, but there's no law right now. So I think once the epidemic finishes, we will see what the legal side comes up with. Other thing is important documentation. So from the uh, technology point of view, work closely with the doctors and with the legal side, and don't look at the short term, look at the long term. Develop your products which can last, because this is likely to stay, the virus itself is likely to stay for 2 to 4 years at least, before it dies out, if at all, till the vaccination comes up and things. So I think some distancing and new normal will come in, so all these things will evolve.
And the laws will also change a
They will
little bit,
change.
so they need to be open to creating, incorporating the new laws. So whatever we have right now, we are incorporating into our platform. But if the laws change or legal requirements change, we will actually have to keep up with the legal requirements to modify the platform
Yes.
accordingly.
So platform has to be modifiable. It has to evolve, just like the doctor-patient relationships have to evolve, and the legal side has to evolve. So this is always going to be an ongoing conversation and ongoing evolution. Uh,
Indeed. And Dr. Sarika, what would be your one-liner for new generation who's trying to start their new journeys in the health domain, irrespective of it's being with technology or without technology, or maybe a one-liner suggestion or your experience you would like to share with new practitioners in the field?
So the new practitioners, they cannot forget their medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have to keep working as if you were working when you're physically seeing the patient, your thought processes cannot change, but you have to guard yourself against wrong decisions. With if you don't examine a patient, what alternative outcome can the patient have? So you have to stop giving opinions where you feel that a physical exam is really required at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the limitation of telemedicine. Giving nutrition advice is easy. Okay, this is what's written in the book, and this is what we think your child should have. But having done a growth evaluation of the child, you may actually think totally differently. A
Mm-hmm.
child who is obese or a child who's not thriving, our nutritional advice will differ.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start your telemedicine consult, you cannot forget your medical algorithm to answer questions for the parents,
Indeed.
because that is the biggest pitfall here.
Sure. So that was all what we wanted to discuss about the new advancements and role of technology which is happening in the health domain. I'm sure that our viewers would love to know all these kind of insights, and in case they have any queries or they would like to discuss any further about this subject. So the queries are always welcome. You can post your comments on this video, and we'll be more than happy to take them up and we'll answer your queries. So thank you very much, Dr. Sarika. Thank you very much, Dr. Vivek Raj, for being available with us for
Thank you,
this
Ashish.
discussion today. I'm sure that this has definitely brought value on the table for a lot of those entrepreneurs and startups who are looking to start or have already started in health domain. Thank you very much for your precious time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thanks a lot,
Thank you,
Ashish.
Ashish.